working with Vidya, she spoils you. Then you find out who else can spoil you. In fact, Bhumi was very kind when she saw Tumhari Sulu, and though she was 15 minutes late.
Every time I'm in a room, I'm just expected to be shadowed by a man who will be kind of making these decisions for me, and that's not the case, right? It was tough for them to take orders from us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There was a lot of conflict, lots of friction there. An audience on a streaming platform is also a lot more kinder and accepting as compared to people that are going into the theatres.
You will get rejected, like literally, I mean, every day, pretty much. So,
I mean, I'm sure rejections are more than...
I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, if you see the career trajectory of any big star anywhere in the world, they'll have more flops than they'll have hits.
I don't even call it trolling, it is bullying, right? Just the form, it is cyberbullying. The form has changed. If a Daldal would have come to me now, like last year, I probably wouldn't have had the ability to do it.
Really?
Because I felt emotionally depleted.
Hello everyone, welcome to News 18. I'm in conversation with team Daldal. Hello everyone.
Hello.
I've watched a couple of episodes. No, 3 I have watched so far. And I'm really looking forward to see what happens next, you know, how it unfolds. But first things first, I would want to ask you. I remember during Jalsa, you had said that, you know, there's this greed in me to explore, you know, different facets of the actor that Vidya Balan is. Because there's a creative comfort there. This time, of course, there is Bhumi here. What drew you to her this time around?
I am always drawn to fantastic actors.
Yeah.
I think when working with Vidya, she spoils you. Then you find out who else can spoil you.
So whoever spoils you
spoils
is my
you.
actor.
Yeah, that's my actor. So, in fact, Bhumi was very kind when she saw Tumhari Sulu, and though she was 15 minutes late.
You need to get over that. I arrived 15 minutes late because I left my cousin outside, was parking the car, and then I went inside and I realized, shit, I was with somebody, my cousin, and then I had to run out, and they are just looking at me that, is she leaving? What is going on?
I'm always looking to collaborate with fantastic actors. We were in talks, nothing was working out. I mean, like even after my first film, I took 4 years to make my second.
Right.
And then you made 3 things together.
Then, of course, Vikram Malhotra, they have collaborated on some lovely projects like Toilet. And then, when this project happened, we just went blindly to her, saying that, Kar do.
Kar do. That's nice. But Amrit, you know, coming to you, I mean, this is the story. It's a murder mystery, of course, you know, wherein there's a female cop and, you know, she's sort of dealing with a troubled childhood, maybe a troubled relationship too. Now, you know, of late, we did see, you know, a few such shows, you know, which is headlined by a woman who is a female cop. What do you think really sets this one apart?
I think the vulnerability of the character here. I mean, she's, like Bhumi has been saying in all interviews, she is the hero but having all the anti-hero traits.
Right.
And mostly we see the other shows, in the other shows we see them in a very heroic manner. Here she's not, you know, there's no, the way, you know, the way those cops walk in those shows or you know, the body languages. Here it was very different. It was, we were dealing with the vulnerability of this cop and the effect of childhood trauma on her. So that really sets Daldal apart, and of course these 2 characters also. So with the murders happening and with everything happening, you are invested in the characters. You want to know what. It's not a whodunit. It's in the first episode you know who's done it, but then it's a why done.
Correct.
So you are invested in the characters and the backstories. You want to know why they are doing what they are doing.
Yeah.
And just to add to what he's saying, I think one thing that sets us apart is also because you go so deep into the characters, the violence that you will see, the gore that the show has also feels earned, and it gives you a cathartic moment as opposed to a moment of shock value. You know, just in the effect of that, it's like chalk and cheese. So I think that I feel is what sets us apart.
Right. But you know, even for the characters that both of you play. I mean, you guys were really good, you know, and I couldn't recognize you. Samara, when here you walked in, I couldn't recognize you because in my mind you're still Anand.
Remove your wig.
No, but tell me something. These two characters are like, of course, morally conflicted. Grey characters is, you know, how, let's just describe them that way. When you get a character like that to sink your teeth into, how easy or difficult, or do you actually feel the need to justify their actions by keeping maybe the morality aspect of it away? Or do you not think so much about that?
I think for me, playing Anita, I had to believe that there was reason for her to do what she's doing. So I had to really be okay with everything that she's done because I can't judge her. She's me. So I had to be that, and I had to actually be okay with all of that. So I didn't think to that extent. I was like, okay, this is who she is. This is what she does. And there is a reason for why she's doing this. And that reason to me as an actor playing her is justified. Because she has, yes, of course, it's not correct and it is not the right thing to do, but I can't think like that as the character. For me, it's the right thing to do. So it was something that it took me a little bit, but eventually I got there where I was like, okay, yeah, I am now, this is all fine.
Yeah,
So-
right. Aditya, you want to add something?
No, I
to that?
completely agree with what Samara was saying. I think the first step is to not judge the character you're playing, to try and understand it, to be able to perform those actions without any sort of sense of how your morality is breaking or not. Speaking personally, I think this was the most difficult character I have played. But it opened up things within me where I think the first thing to understand with somebody like Sajid was that the absolute destruction of your ego. You face so much humiliation in life. You really have nothing.
Nothing.
You know, like all of us in life have so much to hold on to that we build up these protective layers, and those are our walls also, you know. When all those walls are gone, when your ego is completely destroyed, yes, there is, it's painful, it's sad, it's all of those things, but it's also freeing, you know, in its own way, especially as a performer. So I felt like once I arrived at that, of course, with the fantastic writing, the you know, being able to lean on Amrit and Suresh, once you arrived at that place, I felt like something opened up within me, where I was just able to then just jump in and just completely, because also
Trust,
I think trust.
Trust. It's important.
Also, you know, actually, it's funny. The role that, say, Bhumi is playing or that Samara is playing, most women aren't offered those kind of roles.
No, those
Right?
aren't written.
Those aren't written.
When I read Daldal, I was like, can I play Anand? But unfortunately, you know, I think that wasn't something that could happen. It's not written.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, even the character that I am playing, most men don't get offered that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you think about it, like as you watch further on, you'll realize that it's actually, I mean, this kind of vulnerability, this kind of sort
That's
of
so true.
emotional rawness, men don't get to play.
And I feel usually, especially in genres like so, there is a right and a wrong, there's a black and a white.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, all are morally very ambiguous. You know, they all are in the grey, they all are playing in the grey, and I feel that's a very big victory where the writing is concerned, because by the end of it, the show very well speaks of how all of us are victims of a fractured society.
True.
You know, and that was something that was very attractive to me when I was reading it.
You know, there's another very important theme. I mean, I caught it. So, remember when you are, I think I can give that away.
Yeah,
so, when you are about to become the DCP, you're in news, the raid happens, and there's this other character a man who was supposed to become the next DCP, and he's of course not okay. You know, suddenly a
He
woman,
hoped he would,
Yeah, and a young woman at that, you know, she coming in and taking that position. Now, see, this is of course workplace sexism in different forms, all of us, you know, have experienced. Now, Bhumi, you have been very vocal about it, you know, something like a pay parity is something which is really big, but even on a daily basis, a little snub here and there, you know, you're asked to not express your opinion, keep quiet. Does it still happen? on a film set?
I don't think it's a film set problem. In fact,
No,
I
I'm
would
asking
like
you
to
because
say-
you're an actor.
No, actually, I feel a film environment is actually extremely liberating. Because, you know, there you get an opportunity to creatively collaborate, to, you know, find different parts of yourself where, you know, you don't, there isn't as much, at least in my experience. Everything that I've experienced so far, I feel it's in the world outside, because I've started my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
I was amazed at the way that world operates, because, you know, every time I'm in a room, I'm just expected to be shadowed by a man who will be kind of making these decisions for me, and that's not the case, right? So I feel there's a lot more sexism in the world outside of entertainment. Having said that, of course there are problems and we need to fix those problems, but now that I've worked in different sectors, I think we are a lot better.
A lot better. Have you been told कि अच्छा ठीक है but get your boss? As
मतलब
a
उतना
business
तो कर सकते
owner, yeah, female producers have told me so. This happens कि अच्छा वो तो ठीक है but आपका जो boss है उनको बुलाओ. Imagine.
I think what I have been in very subtle ways been told, because I also started this experience once I had a certain standing, you know, within the films. Was very well said that, you know, yeah, but okay, we'll discuss numbers with, you know, whoever's heading your finance. And I was like, that's me. You know, people get amazed when I tell them I'm completely bootstrapped. They get amazed when I'm sitting to like crack every deal, when my sister sits on contracts, for example, because there are just these gender roles that are done that, okay, if there are numbers or if it has anything to do with the finance and the business and the running of the company, for some reason they aren't taking care of it. You know, but we are taking care of it. Or also in like when we were setting the factory up, you know, all the work that was very tough for people that worked in the factory at certain, you know, levels where it was tough for them to take orders from us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There was a lot of conflict, lots of friction there, and but also, you know, the thing is that within the world of films, I feel because they are so used to working with women, especially now, you know, in different roles, that you kind of, I think they are a lot more evolved. You know, especially like in different groups of people that work on a film set. I think the problem basically comes upar se.
Correct.
You know, where the sexism kind of starts, where it is funding a film, कि woman-led film को कितना पैसा मिलना चाहिए, blah blah blah. But that's maybe a different conversation. We'll have a different chat on that.
No, absolutely no. But what you were saying is that, you know, characters like this, you know, the one you have, or you know, for the one you play. I'm saying especially for a woman, because we are not still somewhere used to seeing morally grey or dubious women characters.
100%.
Correct? I think streaming somewhere still allows you to explore for an actor, for a maker to, you know, play around.
I feel that
Yes, sorry.
an audience on a streaming platform is also a lot more kinder and accepting as compared to people that are going into the theatres. You know, because the few times that I have played a character that does not abide to the rule book of women being completely whitewashed, it's not been understood. As opposed to maybe like streaming platforms where the audience, I feel that taste is a lot more evolved. They are also a lot more accepting of characters that are complex because they've been exposed to material like so from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
You know, so they are a lot more accepting.
Correct. No, but to the makers, I want to ask, say you made a Tumhari Sulu, which was for the big screen, and then there was Jalsa, which was an OTT film. I want to know, when you're taking a film like that to a producer, a production house, are they open to the idea of pumping in big money for a film like that for the big screen?
So I'll tell you what, it steps down in a way, it's basically, there is a fixed calculation, right? It's got to do with who's your star, can we punt so much money, do we have so many elements of songs for another, there's a certain list to it. Now suddenly when you go with a different concept and you say that okay, it's the female led protagonist, of course there will be certain jitters.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course there will be, and see, from a business perspective, because it's a decision that they need to take, because it's coming out, it's not in the box. What I would say is, I think pre-COVID, it was easier. It was actually fairly easy to make a film. Now it's becoming tougher, because now, especially for the big screens, thanks to platforms like Amazon Prime, that we could still tell our stories. But to answer your question, saying that I don't think so. Any producer first looks at just the gender; they look at the viability. So if a project, because filmmaking is all about, I mean, the business of filmmaking is all about profitability. How much do you make in? How much do you recover? So keeping that grid in mind, so I think decisions are based on that. If I take a film tomorrow with a female lead, and if it fits in a certain budget, and they're very sure that they can recover it, they'll go for it. It's not about, I think it's all got to do with that. Of course, we are used to a certain stereotype that comes into picture. But eventually it's all about profitability.
Correct. Aditya, I remember when your first film was coming out with Hansal sir, I remember you said that I'm aware of the family that I come from, but I never really wanted to take advantage of, who my father is. This was never a thought in my head that, oh, he's going to launch me someday. But, the other side of it, you both, even Samara for that matter, you have seen your parents, the journeys, the ups and downs in their careers. I think both of your fathers have been very vocal about the lull that they experienced in their careers at different points of time. I spoke to him just a couple of months back, actually. Yeah. Looking at that, looking at the nature, the unpredictability of the industry, what did you really pick up?
I'm very thankful that I got to also see that, because it really gives you a reality check. Because you do have good days, you do have bad days. But I think the fact that you can pick yourself up, not take that rejection personally. I mean, as an actor in general, you're auditioning non-stop.
Correct.
And you will get rejected, like literally, every day, pretty much. So,
I'm sure rejections are more than...
100%, way more than what you actually bag. But I think having seen my father, I understood resilience. I understood patience, that yes, okay, this wasn't for you. Wait, sit at home. When something comes for you, be ready. Don't slack. And I saw that, and I learned that from him. So I think that's.
Yeah.
I think, first up, a minor correction. Faraz is my second film. My first film was Bumphard.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. But I did think, like Samara so eloquently put it, I completely agree with what she's saying. Also, just the understanding of when you look at any quote-unquote successful journey or journey of success in great detail, what it does really look like is a series of failures. If you see the career trajectory of any big star anywhere in the world, they'll have more flops than they'll have hits. They'll have more rejections than they will have sort of plaudits or acceptance. And when you understand that and you see that day to day, then in many ways you become bulletproof. Right? So I think that is the greatest advantage for us, is that we learn from their life experiences as opposed to having to experience them ourselves to learn those lessons.
True.
I think,
Yeah. Okay, very lastly, Bhumi, I have to ask you this. A lot has been spoken about what happened after Royals. You have spoken enough about it. You did take a little bit of a break to, reassess your decision making and all of that. But Bhumi, social media sometimes can feel so unforgiving, especially for an actor, wherein if they're commenting on, okay, how she has performed, that's still something in your control. But when they are commenting on how an actor looks and carries herself, I'm sure that takes a toll. You have spoken about it, how, there was a point, I think as a teenager, you felt invisible, you had body image issues. When you still see people talking about it now, what do you do about it? Because this is something you cannot take a break on.
Look, the only thing that I have control on is my ability to find constructive criticism within all the noise and discard all the bullying. I don't even call it trolling, it is bullying, right? Just the form, it is cyberbullying, the form has changed. But within all the noise as well, there are lessons. What I personally did was I picked up on those lessons and I worked on them. I feel as somebody who's been working for the last decade, I worked for 5 years before that, 6 years before that behind the camera actually. The reason I took a break, it's just that it coincided right after something had come out. The reason I took a break was because I felt every time, if a Daldal would have come to me now, like last year, I probably wouldn't have had the ability to do it.
Really?
Because I felt emotionally depleted. I was very scarred. There was a lot I had not dealt with. And I think many a times we push our mental health as our last priority. And as actors, you have to be, you just have to be there. You have to be present. Good days, bad days, loss in the family, heartbreaks, public trolling, public scrutiny, failure, success. We don't ever get a moment to absorb everything that we've gone through because that's what we are taught and conditioned to do. We just have to keep going. And I think that is not healthy. Mm-hmm. You know, that's when you dehumanize your own self, and that's what I had done.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I have forgotten everything. So, and that's why I did what I did. And all the conversation that happens with anybody in the public eye, you know, obviously हमारे साथ बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, but it happens on everyone. My friends are commented on. You know, you can be anybody. They're little teenagers that take away their own lives because the bullying is so much. My problem is not that you want to communicate how you feel about a certain person. It is the way you do it.
Yeah.
I think that's where somewhere we need to get out of this voyeuristic attitude that all of us have and get out of this rut of just likes and shares and clout. You know, I understand that it's bread and butter. I understand कि बहुत लोगों का घर भी इस वजह से चल रहा है. तो उसका solution क्या है? I don't know. But I just feel the world needs to become kinder, man. There's a lot going on around us, and we need to understand that the other person is a human being and not a wall.
Very true, very true. But more power to all of you.
Thank you.
All the very best for Daldal. I'm looking forward to now going back home and binging it and finishing it. Thank you so much.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.